You're welcome to my channel. I actually wanted to share another video today, but I've been seeing some videos and comments on social media, and I thought I should address this, even though I have talked about this in an earlier video, which I will want to put in here. Why men do not want to move to Canada with their spouses. I won't say one party should move and the other party should not move. This topic is actually hot and I think we need to unpack it. From the angle where I am coming from, I'm just trying to understand what the concern of the men is and what the concern of the women would be. And of course, going through those comments and how people have actually just shared their mind, I see that even in marriage, like any other institution or any other relationships that you have, there is bound to be misunderstanding. It is better to have misunderstandings than to constantly argue over situations or issues in marriage. If you don't resolve it, then it's going to blow up in your face. So moving to a foreign land like Canada, the UK, the US does not resolve the unresolved issues in your home, in your marriage. So hold that thought there. The video I shared at the time, I remember that I mentioned that men should not leave their wives to come to Canada alone. And when I mean Canada, pardon me, because I'm in Canada, it could mean the UK or any other part of the world where people immigrate to. Couples decide to immigrate, or sometimes this initiative comes from one spouse and tries to convince the other person, hey, I think it would be better for us, looking at the situation of the country, wherever country you might be, how the economy is going, and then you think, for the sake of the children, even for our own well-being, I think it's not a bad idea that we consider relocating. And relocating comes with a lot. A lot of people dwell on that process, they dwell on the application, they dwell on the proof of funds, they put everything right. That is fine. But do you know that even relocating to another country can cause a shift in your relationship? And you also need to understand where I'm coming from. I'm Nigerian and I'm African. The way African families or even husbands and wives relate is different from how they relate here. And as you begin to embrace the culture that exists here, and I'm not saying throw away your culture, you see that there are ways in which things are done here that are not the same back at home. For instance, in Africa, men are given so much high regard, as in they belittle their wives. Some of them even don't show as much respect to their spouses as they should. They are the Lord, they are the master, they are the king, they are the El Shaddai, they are everything. And they subject their wives to some circumstances that, culturally makes them want to assume or take up that responsibility as the man, which is okay. Because, I always say this, that where culture is taking over what God says about marriage, then culture has to bow. The word of God says the man is the head, but did not say the woman is subject to the man, like trample upon her or disrespect her or talk down on her, or just dehumanize her. And these are some of the things that happen in Africa. There are relationships that work really fine in Africa, whereby you don't have concerns like this. It doesn't mean they don't disagree, but argument is a choice. You can decide to, disagreements come with difference in opinion, how you see things, your understanding, your background, your exposure. But when you're arguing on a particular issue, it's like somebody wants to be the head, somebody wants to be right, somebody wants to be the one that concludes that discussion or that argument, which to me does not make sense. In a home, everybody wins. The main focus is peace, and it shouldn't be a tussle of war between the husband and the wife. Now, when you decide to move abroad and you have this mentality of the woman has to be subject to me, she cooks your food, she serves your food, she does your laundry, she does this for you. Sometimes in Africa too, the women are the ones that run the home. When I mean run, I mean that they care for the home, they do the cleaning, they do almost everything without the husband supporting. The husband does not do dishes, they don't do laundry, they don't sweep, they don't clean, sometimes they don't even do school runs. The women do all these things. They cook, they still serve and also serve the husband. So this gets a lot of attention for the men, and they can't see themselves going less when they come to Canada. Now, I mentioned in that video and I said that, look, you need to understand that relationship has to be mutual. You can't wear out your spouse and then you expect the best from her, continually. Yes, the man has to be the provider, but we all know these things, that the money that the man brings sometimes in homes does not pay all the bills, does not care for all the bills, and the woman has to work. For men that have better jobs or very fantastic jobs back at home, they are AGMs or they are business owners, or they are well placed. Maybe they work in oil and gas. They earn good pay. They can cater for their home without even having their wives to work. So sometimes these women will probably be doing some side businesses or not even do anything. Just focus on the children, focus on the home, which for me, it is also work. Now, if you decide to move abroad and you want to come as well, you need to have a mindset shift. And this mindset shift means that you need to embrace part of the culture here, because, yeah, they're also big on family and you can't mistreat the women. I know a lot of people say that, look, Canada has given the women so much power. And why do you complain about power if not that some men are intoxicated by this, their own power, and they still want to subject their wives? And women go through a lot even under some men, and they feel that, coming abroad just gives them that opportunity to express themselves. So now you don't have the power to subdue them, you can't talk down on them, you can't mistreat them, you can't beat them, because some men would hit and beat and do all sorts to their wives, and yet they speak not. So if you're in that category as a man, then moving abroad is not for you, because you'll probably be next in line to go to jail. Okay? If you know you cannot support your spouse, help her out. See, the way things run here, and that's why, for me, a lot of people that reach out to me, somebody was asking me about a few people that I know back in Nigeria, and I said, look, I'm tired of explaining and explaining. And honestly, that actually gave birth to me starting this YouTube channel and letting people understand how to move abroad, one, and then life as an immigrant. But because there's this also set mentality of they've moved abroad, they probably are picking the dollars on the trees, or they probably starch them in front of their houses so they can send more to us back at home, which is really not the case. Now, let me paint a scenario for you. If you move abroad with as much qualification that you feel that you have, and you cannot lower your expectation, and I say that with humility, meaning that you are not unusually high in your expectation, thinking that everything will go in sync at par, exactly how you came. If you speak to 85 to 90% of immigrants, they will tell you that they've gone way back from their career, from their achievements, from when they were back home, if they were going to measure that against it. Those that moved as professionals, trained professionals that moved abroad because of their family. So if you're going to do that, you need to lower your expectation, because it is not the same. In Canada, usually students that are in their high schools already start working. They gain this experience, and you come with your own international or professional skills from your own home country and want to work here in Canada. Now, for Canadians or the government of Canada, they see you as someone that does not have Canadian experience. Yes, you have international experience, that's fine. Some are transferable, technical skills, soft skills, they are transferable. But there are still some ways in which you relate or work, understanding some of the codes here. If you are in construction, if you are in the medical line, if you are in some particular industries, you need to understand how things run. Even in HR, they have a way, because you can't bring the policies or how you do things back in your home country and come and import it here. It won't work, so you must understudy. And that's why they want you to go back and learn. A lot of us will see like, I'm already trained, I have X and Y years of experience. Why would I start from zero? Why would I lower my expectation? Why would I come in as an entry level? But that is what it is here. For some roles, you can actually just flush it. For some, you have to start. And then you begin your journey upwards in that profession. Now, if any husband or wife moves abroad and they feel they can't start there, and that's where that mindset needs to shift. So if you come abroad and you feel I cannot start from here, and starting again for some people can even mean you not getting that entry level from your own work profession, that experience that you have had over 20 years, 30 years, you can count the years. And you have to probably start as a waiter somewhere, or a shop attendant, or you're selling something, or you're attending to customers at the grocery store, or you're even doing some security jobs, or something totally alien to what you have as your background. Now, we know that these things are not pleasant. Everybody, or some people that have gone through this particular experience, do not like it. And I know they don't like it. Nobody likes it. But moving from your country to Canada is indeed a sacrifice. And why stop that sacrifice when you get in here? The sacrifice continues for your household. It continues. So if a man decides to move abroad and does not want to start off with those jobs, if they are the ones that are readily available, then it causes tensions, it causes problems in the home, and it's going to affect your home. Women are easily adaptable. That is the honest truth. And women can subject themselves to anything. They can work in care homes, they can work in the grocery store, they can do all sorts, cleaning, just for them to bring in the income. But it is these our men that will say no, they can't do these jobs, they can't do these jobs. Some men do it, but a couple of them will say they can't do it. So I want to address you here that if you know that, because nobody knows that this is what exactly you will meet, and these are the things I want you to go watch the video I shared before this one. Some things that you don't know until you arrive here. Nobody tells you this. Nobody tells you this until you arrive, and everybody's story or journey differ. So there's no plug and play. There's no expectation that when you come in as a geologist, you are going to get exactly the same position. You probably have to go to school or add on to certifications that is required for that position. And this also cuts across other professions. You see some people go back to school in HR, some in the medical field, some even in accounting. You see everybody going back to school. Yes, because they want to increase their opportunity to get into high-paying jobs in Canada. It is not just for fun. Now, if you're not ready to do that, and even if you are on that journey to academic pursuit, you must still be able to pay your bills. If the proof of funds or extra income that you have come with cannot sustain you throughout that period, then you have to find something to do, no matter how menial it is. If that's what you've got, that is what you've got. Now, I know that sometimes this can be difficult, even in the marriage. It can be difficult in your family. Everybody is struggling. We also struggled. We had our own fear of the kind of jobs that we found and how to navigate into where we are currently. We're still not there yet. Looking behind, if I tell you where my journey started from, go and watch my videos. I've shared a couple, and even what my position was, even from when I was coming from. I've shared my journey or my story, about my experience as well. So everybody has gone through one thing or the other. But if you cannot manage that situation, then it will cause chaos in your home, in your marriage. Now, men, that video that I shared, a lot of men came in and said, no, their wives would take the shine, their wife will want to do this, their wives would not be submissive anymore, that their wives would not listen to them because there's a way this society just amplifies the voice of the women and just makes them go gaga. But I also ask, what is your relationship with yourselves back in your home country? because it's not about the society. Sometimes the way the men treat their wives obviously makes the women come back at them when they move here. Some of them do that, which is not something that is really nice. Both parties have their own responsibilities to ensure that nothing falls apart. There was another story of a couple in the UK that recently broke out. Very sad. Both got deported because of this kind of issues. They moved abroad with their children. They brought another family member that has been living with them all through the time. And of course, in their documentation, falsified that individual as their own child. They brought the child. And then, of course, they had issues in their home, in their marriage. And the woman, I think a year before they finally got their own version of PR in the UK, had to go to the Home Office to say no, they should take the man out of the application. She was the primary applicant. And of course, hell let loose, and the man will not go down without pulling her down. Because for that reason, it will make him get deported back to Nigeria. So what did he do? He decided to also report that they lied in the application. Why do we do this kind of things? Why do we want to fight back? Why do we cause chaos amongst ourselves abroad? And one thing I always say is that, look, obviously the relationship wasn't good before you moved. Somebody also talked about moving to Canada, and immediately they got here, the other spouse, that was the husband, had his own plan. They barely got to Canada and the man went his way. They didn't even have a month together. He just decided that, hey babe, I'm done. We've moved here, so live your life and let me live my life. And I question relationships that, look, if your relationships are not solid, please don't come abroad. Don't come abroad, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And most of the time it affects the men, because the society favors the women more. And that's why the men will question why the women receive child benefits. I say it is the family income, even though for the children are for the two of them now. Why would the men, and why would the men question why they give the women, and why would the women hoard this money to herself and say, this is my money, it is for my children? You see where this trouble starts from. And this caused chaos. There was a story of a family too that also came living fine. I guess the man didn't have knowledge of the government's payment, this child benefit to the wife. And it only took them visiting a family friend. Regular, babe, let's go and visit this person. And conversations unfolded, they were talking. And the host said something about, this income. And the husband was like, they don't pay us though. The wife has been collecting this child benefits. I think they had about 3 or 4 children, and she never mentioned to the spouse. Deceit. And of course, when the husband got to know, he got mad. And if he took it further to want to physically now fight this issue, he will be the loser at the end of the day, because he will go to jail. He cannot lay hands on the woman. So he had to, of course, they had so many issues come up. They talked about it. But the woman said, this is my money. She still did not budge. And what else? The marriage ended because of child benefit, government money. And I said, it is also not the primary reason. There were still fundamental issues that needed to be resolved that they had not resolved. So, as men, if you know that you cannot tolerate this kind of things, don't try. Please, I beg you, don't come to Canada, to the UK. Don't even decide to move. You can sponsor your family to move and come visiting. One idea that I would not like, because I would say everybody must move together. Why send your spouse alone and your children without you moving? So the concern for men, it is valid. But can it be handled properly or in a different way? Yes. Treat your wives well, even back in your home country. Treat them as yourself. Treat them as yourself. You cannot hate your own body now. So if you come abroad, you will do dishes with your wife. You will clean with your wife, or you guys will agree. There must be modus operandi of how you want to run your home. Because if somebody gets a job, if it was the woman that got the job first, you don't expect her to go to work, come back come and start doing laundry, cooking, shopping, cleaning, and the man will do what? So you have to split these roles. You have to understand that this one, yes, we agree the men are still the one that are running the home, but now sometimes economic reasons will shift that position, meaning that the woman now becomes the provider, the interim provider, until the man gets his footing. And it might be because the man is just selective in the kind of jobs he wants, so it's making him stay longer, or he wants to go to school to get some acquired skills or certifications to position him better. So it must be an understanding between the man and the woman, so that there is no chaos, nothing falls apart. And there must be timelines to this. So it's not the one that one party just feels I can go and continue. For me, the woman can sleep. The woman can, if she has younger children, she has valid reasons to stay with the children, to do maybe some shift jobs. She doesn't have to do something that is tasking or takes her away from the children, because she needs to support the children. And the man can hustle. The man can hustle. See, it is a hustler's game. Oh. In Canada, it is a hustler's game. If you don't hustle, then you don't pay your bills. Then you don't have income. Nobody gives you money on your lap. You pay your bills every month. Your rent is every month, or your mortgage, you pay once a month or twice a month, depends on what you sign up for. These things are not easy. So if you know you are not toughened enough, if you know you are not ready for this, don't move abroad. Don't move abroad. It is not for the faint-hearted. It is not for the man that cannot put his ego under check. It is not for the woman that cannot support the husband. And both of you even complimenting yourself. Canada is not for those kind of people. If you will come and then you begin to expose your weaknesses, or you now begin to feel that now I have power, that's talking to the women, I can disobey the man, or I can do the things that I want to do, is now my life. I'm in Canada, you decide to do whatever you like, then your home is at stake. Is either the home splits, because now they will say when people move abroad, their marriages don't last. They are just basic things. Why are your marriages lasting in your home country? Why? Because the man will flex, and then the society frowns at, how can you leave your husband? Or even though he's killing you inside your home. But when women, they see themselves as liberated when they move abroad, and they feel that they can't take all this back from the man coming into Canada. And then the man begins to revolt, and it becomes a tug of war, and then things fall apart. We need to be very wise in this. And, that is why I looked at all of this and I said, look, everybody has a role to play, as a man, as a woman, in their marriage. If you want your marriage to last, there are couples that have moved to Canada and they've had good marriages. Have they had disagreements? Yes. Every marriage is like siblings. There's no human being on earth that you will not quarrel with. Who says there won't be fights in marriage? Who says there will be disagreements? But you choose how you argue. You choose to disrespect your spouse. You choose not to submit to yourself. Those are choices which you can choose wisely. But you can disagree based on some things, some issues, some concerns, and then you guys talk about it so that you can have a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship. A lot of marriages have been falling apart. So many that we've been hearing, and I don't want yours to be the next one. So please have this tough conversation with your spouse before you move abroad. Ask some valid questions. If we move abroad and we don't get the kind of jobs that we get, what can we do in the interim? Will this make you feel, I know sometimes it is easier said than done when you get here and the situations hit you in your face, then the reality becomes, I did not bargain for this. But you have to still ask these questions. If these things happen, what is the next step? What can we do? What can we quickly do? And you can't be choosing the kind of jobs. You can't. Because if you don't have all the money to sustain your bills in a year, you have to work here and earn. So a little is better than nothing. So you have to change that mindset. You have to change your mentality about moving abroad. Now it is both of you working together. Both of you have to work together. It is not about the woman feeling it's the man alone that is the provider. He should go and be bringing the money, then I cannot work. If it's obvious you cannot work because you have very little children, then it must be something that both of you have spoken about and agreed. But you can't fold your hands because he's been paying all the bills back at home, and you've been sitting nice and pretty saying you are taking care of the children when you can still do little jobs. Thankfully, here in Canada, there are jobs that you can do even as a mom taking care of your child. Your husband can go to work during the day. You can do night shifts. You can work as a customer care agent even from home. You can do those jobs that can pay you little income, which can substitute, can do something. If he buys grocery in the house, that's one expense less what the man can think about. So support is very key in your decision to move abroad. If you can't agree, then please don't move. Don't even try it, because your marriage will fall apart. I hope this video has helped one or two people to gain clarity on how to be able to make sure that things work in their home when they move apart, so that they don't be one of the additional statistics that people will count on and say they moved abroad and their marriage failed. Please share this video, like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.